All right, it's about 7:10. We'll go ahead and get started. Sorry about that, Tom. All right, caught him walking there. All right, so Renee, please show all board members present except for Ms. Gilkey and Mr. Satterley. And we'll go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes, proposed changes tonight? Sorry. We'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll move to board salutes. All right. With no changes, all in favor? All right, got 5-0. Thank you. A little out of order there. I apologize. Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms.
Second.
Perkins. Thank you, Mr. White. All right, I'm sorry. All right, now we'll start with board salutes. So one of our favorite things to do. And tonight we have a couple. And I think, Ms. Kraft, you're going to do our first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joshua Hillman from Jacoby Toombs and Lance. The board salutes Joshua Hillman with Jacoby Toombs and Lance for partnering with the district for both intercessions during our 13-14 school year. Josh, along with certified GCCS teachers, led an engineering elementary enrichment course for both sessions for students grades 3 and 5. The class allowed elementary students to discover the world of civil engineering and to have an opportunity to learn engineering basics and to create a variety of structures with his help, along with other local civil engineers through the University of Louisville's J.B. Speed School of Engineering. Leading this enrichment class is a wonderful opportunity for Josh and for other instructors to introduce our students to the engineering career pathway as part of our College and Career Readiness Initiative. Thank you, Josh Hillman. And company, yes.
She's my junior engineer.
Beautiful. Gorgeous child.
We really appreciate Josh. I remember the first time we had a meeting to talk about this potential possibility, and what's great is when we have the ideas and the concepts and it comes to fruition, it's outstanding. But what's even more important than that is the success that this program has enjoyed over both the fall and the spring intersessions. It's something that a lot of kids gained a lot of great exposure to engineering and had a lot of fun doing it. So thank you so much for your leadership, and this is a certificate of recognition on behalf of our school board and our central office team. Thank you so much for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be honored. Could I have the Charlestown High School yearbook and their sponsors please come up? Charlestown High School's yearbook program has been named the 2014 Charleston's National Yearbook Program of Excellence. The National Yearbook Program of Excellence recognizes engaging yearbooks that reflect a broad representation of the student body while helping students develop 21st century skills such as communication, collaboration, and information and communication technologies, ICT, literacy. The Charlestown High School award-winning yearbook program is led by co-advisors Don Jenkins and Nicole Morrison. The student staff includes Helena Aikman, Riley Biggs, Lexus Bryan, Corey Harris, Matthew Larry, Daniel Miles, Nicholas Nuxall, Carly Price, Sarah Rukowski, Macy Snelling, and Miranda Wood. Charleston's National Yearbook Program of Excellence awards are presented twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, for yearbooks delivered during the school year. The award was presented to Charlestown High School Yearbook Program for achieving the defined criteria in each of the three following categories: creating an all-inclusive yearbook, generating school engagement, and successfully managing the yearbook creation process. The board salutes Charlestown High School Yearbook Program.
Hey, just a few comments here. We have plenty of certificates of recognition, and if you don't mind, I'll give them to Nicole and Don to the two of you, and you can distribute them if you don't mind. But beforehand, want to say a few things. Having been a teacher and a yearbook advisor myself for 5 years, and putting together 5 yearbooks, it is not an easy task. In fact, it's probably the most demanding task that I ever participated in as a high school teacher. On the other hand, too, to see the finished product that came out after all that work, and you know that it's going to be distributed not only to your students and to your staff and to your parents and your community, but you know that it actually is a little bit of history. It's a book of history that will be there for all time. It's such an important thing, and we're so proud of all of you as students and those students who are part of this process who were not able to be here tonight. It means a great deal. You've done well. Your family and your staff at Charleston High School, the community will be very proud of your efforts. We thank you so much for your commitment because it's not an easy task. And then as advisors, knowing what you've been through, Nicole, you've overcome a little adversity in your life, and you're an inspiration. Dawn, I think, was this your first year also? Is this your first year that you were doing it? I mean, you know what? Now you're only can get better, see? You only expect me to get better. None of my yearbooks ever reached that level, although we worked with tested, that we became nationally recognized. So I can't even begin to speak, but thank you so much for your commitment to these kids. I know all the hours that it takes to do it right, and we're very proud of both of you, and thank you so much for what you do. Yes,
And the best part is you don't have to stay if you don't like, so. All right, we've already made it through the approval of the agenda, so we'll move on to the approval of minutes from previous board meetings. I'd like to take all of those together.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Dr. Mellon, no public comments on agenda items tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. Next item is the consent agenda. We have 5 items: claims, travel, field trips, fundraisers, personnel. I'd like to take all those together.
Make a motion to approve 1 through 5.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I got a question. I notice on the travel, we have several principals that's attending a Institute of Professionalism. I think, if I counted it right, they're out of the building 8 days. Is that going to lead to better administration at the schools? What's that program about? What's our principals going to be out for?
It's the Indiana Principal Leadership Institute, IPLI, that was brought back into the state. Last year was the first year. We had some principals from last year that have been asked to be second-year participants, and we've brought some other first-year people back into the situation. So, yes, it's been the input that I've received from all of our principals has been highly favorable. They're connected to other principals around the state that are doing great things also, like we are, so there's a great networking going on. I can tell you that we've had several principals also that have brought thoughts and ideas back and have implemented those into their buildings from what they've learned. There's also a mentoring relationship that has been established between our principals and other successful principals in the state, in which they maintain a constant communication, with those mentors. So it is an expense, but it is about trying to take our principals to higher levels of achievement, just like we're trying to do with the rest of our staff.
All right. All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Next item is the gifts to buildings, and Ms. Kraft, in the absence of Mr. Satterley, would you do the honor?
Well, she has, for some reason,
Oh, she's
delegated
delegated
that to me.
that tonight? Okay, all right.
So up there, we have several different groups, the Clark County Jail Commissary Fund, PTA at TJ, and Lincoln Technical College. Just from a variety of sources, we always have people that are supporting us, and we really appreciate that. So thanks to the community and to all those that support the Greater Clark Schools.
All right.
And I'll make a motion to accept.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Move on into the action items tonight. We have we have 14 items on. First one is the Transition Fair Grant Approval. And I think that's going to be, Ms. Neff's going to take us through that.
This is a grant to support our transition fair, and on September 26th, we're going to have a transition fair for some of our students who are working on certificates of completion. Our goals are just as high for the students with significant disabilities as they are for all of our other children, and that is to make sure that when they leave us, that they're employable, that they have a place in the community, and they're a part of the workforce. So we're working hard with the families and with the students to make sure that they have those opportunities. So we'll be providing a lot of information. I keep reminding Dr. Mellon, he is one of our speakers that day, but we'll also be providing lots of other people who will be setting up booths and sharing information with parents and with students. This grant is for $4,075, I believe, and we match that with $2,200 through the co-op, and those are in-kind kinds of matches, but then that will support us having food, prizes, speakers, etc. at the program. And you all are very welcome to attend.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kraft.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. I think I heard first. Any questions, comments from Ms. Neff? All right. All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the Intercession Staffing Service Agreement. And Dr. Mellon, I guess you're going to...
Yes, Board. I'd like to recommend approval of our agreement with Communities and Schools. If you remember last year, we were fortunate to utilize them for staffing for both our fall and spring intercession. The agreement would be similar to what was in place last year, so I would appreciate your approval of that recommendation.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Next item is graduation dates for 2015.
I'll be happy to take that one also. Board, graduation dates, in the past, there has been a rotation of graduation dates that occurred. Last year, it was so successful in terms of the locations, the times, that all three principals wanted to continue to keep that same time frame. So New Washington would be Friday, June 12th at 7 o'clock. Jeff High School would be Saturday morning, June 13th at 10 a.m. And then Charlestown High would be Saturday, June 13th at 1. And I think that it's vital to know that the biggest challenge, I remember 2 years ago, my first year as superintendent, Jeff High's was on a Friday night. And traffic and parking on Friday night around that high school was, I mean, all we heard was just so many complaints. So Friday night, the Jeff High situation just is probably one of the worst possible scenarios, to be honest. Now, looking at New Washington, conversely, they really enjoyed and appreciated the Friday night, 7 o'clock time frame. And so the principals were consulted on this, and all three felt that the times worked well. We had no negative comments about those times from the community. And so this is what we'd like to recommend for next year.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Any questions, comments?
Being one of the people stuck in traffic that I didn't make it on time to the graduation. So it was real bad at night.
With our first graduation being on the 12th, what's the last day of school?
June 6th?
6th.
June
Okay.
6th.
Good.
Trying to give plenty of time
Gives us
between
a
that
little wiggle
last
room.
day and then
Yeah.
we made that adjustment
Yeah.
a year ago, luckily, so.
All right, any further questions? All in favor? 5-0, thank you. Next item is the approval of the engagement letter for Thomas Peterson.
Yes, the next several items will all be regarding the bond issue that we had the public hearing on. T.W. Peterson Law Office will serve as our bond counsel, like they've done for so many years before I even came here, for the proposed refundings. As bond counsel, Mr. Peterson is to render certain approving opinions on behalf of the school corporation and the building corporation regarding the validity of the bonds under appreciable state or applicable state and federal laws, and to render certain opinions concerning tax status and other matters. Mr. Peterson will review all documents for the transaction and supervise the proceedings as they move toward closing. This fee for services on the refunding of the two components, which would be $40,000 per series of bonds. In addition to this fee, the invoice will include charges for certain ancillary items such as mileage to meetings, copying expense, express mail, etc. These charges do not typically exceed $2,500 for an issue. All of this will come out of the bond cost. So there won't be any cost to the corporation as far as the general fund. So we're recommending approval of the engagement letter for T.W. Peterson Law Firm.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you, Mr. White. Any questions, comments for Dr. Daigle? All right, all in favor? Be 5-0, thank you. Next item is the approval of the underwriter engagement letter, Hilliard Lyons.
Hilliard Lyons will serve as underwriter of the $83,830,000 lease rental bond issues, first mortgage refunding bond series 2014. Hilliard Lyons will provide advice with respect to the structure, timing, terms, and other similar matters concerning the bonds pursuant to the underwriter exclusion under the SEC's Municipal Advisor Registration Rules. This is something new that we have to do, right, Dave? Because in the past, in the past, Dave was always able to talk freely at board meetings and things like that. This is the approval that he needs now because of the SEC and the new rules that they've come out with. You have to approve his engagement letter so he can give us the advice. So I really want you to think hard about this one.
Okay, you need a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. All right, you're allowed to speak now. Next item is the Hilliard Lyons underwriter fee letter.
Yes. Hilliard Lyons will serve as our lead underwriter for the $83,830,000 lease rental bond issues, first mortgage refunding bond series 2014. The underwriting fee would be $6 per 1,000 of bonds issued. This fee includes attending all school board meetings regarding said bond issues and working with the financial advisor and bond counsel to help prepare the preliminary and final official statements and securing the programmatic bond rating with Standard & Poor's Rating Corporation. Last bond issue we did for the $1.8 million, we were at an A+, I believe. So that helps, and with our good finances that we're in, hopefully we should have an A+ or even better, I would hope this time. So. Oh, okay. Double. Okay. So we're even better. So his fee in past bond issues was $7.50, and he's given us the friends and family discount now of $6 per 1,000.
Right.
All right.
You need a motion? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. And a second, please. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you for the break.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, next item is the disclosure letter for Hilliard Lyons.
Yes, after the selection of Hilliard Lyons as senior managing underwriter, they have submitted the attached disclosure letter related to the $83,830,000 lease rental bond issue, first mortgage refunding bond, Series 2014, as required by the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, MSRB Rule G17, as set forth in MSRB Notice 2012-25, dated May 7th, 2012. A copy of the disclosure letter is attached for your review. So we're asking approval of the disclosure letter submitted by Hilliard Lyons.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. White. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Questions, comments? All in favor? It'd be 5-0. Thank you. All right, next item I think is an action item as well, resolution approving refunding.
Yes. The resolution is necessary to take all steps necessary to effect the refunding of the outstanding first mortgage bonds, Series 2007 and Series 2008, in order to generate a net savings after paying all costs of refunding the bonds prior to any extension of the maturity of at least $800,000 for Series 2007 and $650,000 for Series 2008. So now we need to know, do you want to go with 0, 5, or 10 years on the refunding? Okay.
Ms.
I
Perkins?
move that we extend the maturity.
Say that fast.
By 10 years.
I second the motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kraft. Comments, discussion?
Well, I understand the reasoning for going 10 years, but I also look at the numbers, and I can't support that at this time. But I support the premise, just not the dollar amount.
All right, all in favor? Oh, and opposed? Be 4-1. Thank you. All right, Dr. Daigle, let's see. Next item is the transportation bus contract addendum. Oh.
Resolution approving refunding of this.
First, there was one blank in the resolution, and that was for how many years you want to extend. This, that motion was passed. Now we
Okay.
have to
Right.
consider the full refunding of it.
Okay.
And I would make that motion.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Kraft. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments?
Yeah, what's this motion for?
The resolution that you have there, it has blanks in it for how many years the extension. So the first consideration was for what number to put in, and the board decided to put 10 in that blank. And now this is to adopt the actual.
10-year.
With the 10 years in the blank.
The whole resolution.
And also, the other blank that's in there is like the Mel and spoken to, so we found it in the public. So those are the two blanks that we need to fill in, but then we decide what number to put in. So now we're ready for the full resolution.
All right, well, thank you. I actually thought that was all together, but that's fine, so.
It's just like to have a nerd for a blank.
I understand that. All right, all in, Tony, that, you good with that? Okay. All in favor? And opposed? Be 4-1. Thank you. Okay, thank you for helping us with that. All right, next item is transportation bus contract addendum.
Yes, we've had a couple students that we needed to pick up on one of our contracted routes, so this mileage increase is for Teresa Wimsat, the contract owner. The mileage increase will include both the high school and elementary school runs. The increase will begin on August 12th, 2014, and will be in effect for the remainder of the contract. This is an increase of 4 miles per day. A copy of the addendum is attached, so we need your approval for that.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Next item is the student nursing agreement.
Yes, the Greater Clark County Schools Health Services will provide opportunities for nursing students to become familiar with the role of the school nurse, as well as participate in selected aspects of the nurse's role. The clinical experiences in which nursing students will participate shall be mutually agreed upon by Greater Clark County Schools nursing staff and Indiana State University's faculty, representative based upon the nursing student's level of skill and knowledge. The attached agreement has been reviewed by Sandra Lewis, General Counsel. Otherwise, I was going to have to put out my shingle and start reviewing these contracts. All right.
Have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Craig. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Questions, comments? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Next item is the increase of food service hours.
Yes, due to the meal growth at Parkview Middle School, meals per labor hour is targeted at 19, while they're actually performing at 22 meals per labor hour. Adding an additional 3-hour position will allow Parkview to keep up with the current demands of our students while compensating for the potential growth. We also have a copy of the increase of the justification that Natalie prepared. I looked at it, it looks good to me, so we're asking approval to increase the number of hours by 3.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. White. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments?
We just have more students eating?
We approved the student eligibility provision out of Parkview, we satellite, Clark County, Ohio, water. So that's added about, we were between 100 and 110 extra meals a day for breakfast and lunch. But then actually at Parkview, we have increased, it was 85 breakfast meals per day.
Great.
And we're still struggling to get the kids through on time to their class. So we're looking to add the 3 hours in the morning time to their time.
And
We
Natalie,
had one of those meals at Court and Porter this past week, and it was delicious.
I'm
and
not
Natalie,
surprised.
didn't you have the highest increase in number of students eating? Didn't you have the highest increase in the number of students eating? She didn't get any extra money for it.
And she's everywhere. Everywhere I go, she's there. It's amazing.
All right, further questions? All in favor? Be 5-0. Thank you. Next is the Special Olympics transportation.
Yes, for a number of years, Greater Clark County Schools have provided a school bus for the transportation of Clark County special needs athletes to the Special Olympics activities and events held in Indiana. Special Olympics of Clark County pays for the gasoline used and covers the expenses of the bus driver, which is a GCCS employee. There are currently 125 athletes ranging in ages from 8 to 62 years old, but not all athletes attend each event. There are 5 upcoming state competitions planned and some regional events to be scheduled. Clark County Special Olympics provides its own chaperones for these trips. So we're asking permission to provide buses and the driver for these events that are coming up.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments? All right, all in favor? 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next item we're pretty excited about, the Student Health Clinic Agreement. So I guess, Dr. Mellon, you're going to, or is Dr. Dyke?
No, I'll
take
take it.
Dr. Mellon, okay.
Thank you, Board. This is an exciting opportunity, one that we've been working on probably for almost 8 months. When we decided to get into the Employee Wellness Center opportunity and we saw the tremendous benefits of that, we started to think about how could we provide a level of health services to our students that would be unique and help us to keep our students in school more often and longer. And knowing that this is important to our community, we started to investigate, and we started to meet with Clark County Memorial Hospital, their staff, and we've decided on bringing forth an agreement that hopefully you will approve, where Clark County Hospital will provide 2 nurse practitioners to our school system. Those nurse practitioners would be stationed, one at Jeff High School, the other at Charlestown High School. We have modified the clinics at both sites just slightly to allow for some a little bit more privacy for those 2 individuals. Sandy Lewis has worked extensively with Pam Thompson, the General Counsel of Clark Memorial Hospital, to develop this agreement. And what basically would happen, Board, is that any student enrolled in Greater Clark County schools would go through a protocol of their working with their health assistant and or nurse at their school, and if the feeling was that that student would be a good candidate to see the nurse practitioner, the student would get an appointment and see the nurse practitioner either at Jeff High for our Jeff High students, Jeff area students, or at Charlestown High School for Charlestown or New Washington students. The services would be provided by the nurse practitioner at no cost to the students or their families. The nurse practitioners would be able to diagnose, would do simple labs, and even be able to prescribe necessary medications. Mainly those would probably be in the form of antibiotics and things of that nature. All this would be done only with the consent of the parents. We would even transport students from our different elementaries or middle schools to the high school clinics in order for them to receive the services that they need. The cost is $230,000. Now that would be from a period of time starting October of 2014 all the way through December of 2015. We have a couple of local entities that are interested in helping to provide some additional financial support. The Clark Hospital Foundation is one of those entities. The other entity we're fairly confident in, but we've not finalized that agreement yet. But we hope that that will bring in at least about $40,000 toward that $230,000 total. We'll also be applying for federal grant dollars. They become available this month in September. There are clinics like this all over the country. The federal government is providing financial support for these clinics. We feel very confident in working with the Family Health Center here in Southern Indiana that will be a good candidate for some federal funding. So we're putting the money up front, but I think that through the grants, both through federal and local sources, it'll help financially. And the other thing I think will happen is once we can show that this is a valuable service to our students, there are other entities in our community that I think would be interested in providing some more financial support. I just think they want to see it implemented and see what the results are before they would come on board. So there's a cost up front, but we hope that through these other sources, they'll be greatly reduced over time. It's a very exciting opportunity for our students and for our families in this area, and so it's my honor to recommend approval of the agreement for independent nurse practitioner services with Clark Memorial Hospital, which is a member of the Clark Physician Group, LLC, for the operation of student health clinics at Jeffersonville and Charleston High Schools.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Miller. Have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Questions, comments?
Yeah, Dr. Mel, why the January to December contract on this? Why not follow the school year with the contract dates?
Yeah, our budget, you know how our budget works. It's a calendar year budget cycle from January through December. So I agree with you. I wish our whole budget was on that July 1 through June 30th cycle. So that is why we did it, because we could budget for the amount. $200,000 has been budgeted for 2015 by Dr. Deichel, and then this balance for 2014, that's where we'll get this local funding to support that cost for the rest of 2014.
I'm just really pleased that we're going to implement this program in Bear Clark County Schools, because so many times children will miss school maybe one day a week, half a day a week, 2 days a week, and they get so far behind. And a lot of times parents are not able to take them to the doctor or get the medications they need. And we're going to make it very convenient for them, and also make it affordable, because it's not going to cost them anything. And I know there are a lot of families that struggle to keep their children healthy. They have chronic issues with asthma and some other things, so I'm very pleased to be offering this.
Also, Board, I should mention that this does not take the place of a family's primary care physician. I think that's important for us to note, that it's not designed to take the place. Families will have the option of taking their children to their primary care provider, if that's what they choose to do. But the fact is, we have a lot of families in our area that don't have a primary care physician, and so this service would be made available primarily to assist those families. But I think it's important. We want our primary care providers in the area to know that we're not trying to take business away from them at all, but we are trying to provide a service to families that don't have that capability to have that service.
And I think our partnership with Clark Memorial Hospital points that out, because a lot of families that don't have a family doctor will end up at the emergency room for things that could be taken care of in a clinic session that, like this. So the fact that Clark Memorial is our partner in this, I think that message will get out that we're not trying to be their doctor. We're just trying to help with some issues that our kiddos need.
And Dr. Mellon, I think you've told us that you've seen this working in other districts as well, and so are we able to leverage into those districts? I mean, there's going to be a lot of moving parts to this, obviously, as it goes up, so do we have some leverage in with those other districts that we can sort of ask them questions about?
Yes.
What did you overcome? How did you do it to help us along?
The Indianapolis area has several of these clinics, and also in northern Indiana they exist. I'm not aware of many of them in southern Indiana, but there are other clinics in the state that we'll be able to talk to. And we did our research. As we did our research, we were looking at what they had been doing and how they had set up their clinics. So it's not like we did not do our due diligence there either. So through the process, we wanted to make sure that we knew what we were getting into, and the fact that there are successful clinics all over the state of Indiana, and that there'll be some dollars available. There should be some dollars available to us through different federal grants and so on.
I would think also what you've done with the employees clinic, you probably leverage some findings there as well about appointments and scheduling and those kind of things. So.
Absolutely.
All right, further questions? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I guess the only problem I'm struggling with is, I guess we really are becoming a parent. I'm thinking, I guess I never thought I would see this happen. Are we going to do anything about educating that parent when the child is ill and we are treating the child? Are we going to say to that parent, this is probably something you need to look at, this is probably something you need to be careful and watch for? Are we going to do any kind of educating these people, because this is their responsibility? And I can tell you, of course, I'm speaking from experience like you do when you say, well, northern Indiana. I can tell you raising 7 kids, it wasn't easy. And my husband and I did with that a lot, but the kids never did. So that's and that's just in me, and I'm thinking I'm always going to hold a parent accountable for kids, or don't have them.
I believe what will happen, it'd be my hope that perhaps some children will receive a level of health care that perhaps they've not had on any consistent level. The parents have got to be engaged in that process. And my hope would be that by having this free service to our students, the parents will have to be engaged in that process, and perhaps more engaged than they've been. And it would be my hope that we will be able to provide a level of education for those families in terms of just overall wellness. What are the conditions as to why the child might be experiencing the health issue they are? Just like we try to do with our employee clinics, the focus is not on reacting to the problem and throwing some medication at it, but let's sort of look into the background and the details. And so I would hope, Mrs. Kraft, that when these parents have to be engaged in the solution that the nurse practitioner would be providing, that conversation would be occurring between the nurse practitioner and the parents. And so I would hope that we're going to benefit the overall quality of our community through this effort is what I'm hoping to see.
Well, I know they're getting the food. The food is really, really good food for them, because I've been eating many school lunches lately. And so I know they're eating well. And that's really not our responsibility either, but we're doing it, and we're doing a really good job. So this is just another extension of that. So somewhere in there, we have to make these people aware that these are their children and that they have an obligation Amen. Done.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
there's validity to that for sure. I mean, I guess I'm coming from the other side of it where I came from a large family and we were told that you needed to wait until your dad gets paid before I can take you to the doctor. So, you know, now we're
But you
giving
did
them,
go.
eventually, yes. But I could go a lot sooner with a program like this. So, you know, I think of those situations where, we're now giving them the means to, get that health care where they may not have it otherwise. So, anyway.
Also, I think that this will give, the nurse practitioners will be a good resource for chronic conditions that perhaps might go unseen. And oftentimes teachers see things going on, whether it's not being able to breathe after they're outside and those kinds of things. So I know that they will do referrals to other doctors and other specialists. And I'm also thinking about dental and vision, and I know we do the vision screening, but I just feel very good about the fact that, and I agree with you, Ms. Kraft, I don't disagree with you. It is the parent responsibility, but I feel good about the fact that we're stepping up and helping them with this at this time.
One of the things is, we talking to the Department of Memorial Hospital, they're also trying to do that, see some pediatricians coming through the hospital. So that was another difference, so not only the nurse practitioners, but some pediatricians started rotating to that.
That's great. That's great.
All right, further comments, questions? All right, all in favor? Be 5-0, thank you. Next item is the Bureau of Education and Research for seminar motivating your gifted students, grades 1 through 8 with Kayla. That's a mouthful.
The GCCS Advanced Program would like to present this seminar, Motivating Your Gifted Students, to better differentiate and meet the needs of this Tier 3 of those higher performing students with K-Law on June 10th, 2015. Hopefully our final day will indeed be June 6th. And so this is an opportunity to bring these folks back in to sort of build capacity and create a train-the-trainer model. And we would have 12, one teacher from each of our 12 elementary schools and 2 from each of our middle schools will be invited to attend. It will be on site, and they'll receive materials and excellent instruction from K-Law, who is an internationally recognized master teacher and outstanding leader in gifted education.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Is that Ms. Perkins? Okay, thank you, Ms. Perkins. Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Okay, so is there any provision to move that date? Because looking at last year,
if we need to, we can. We discussed that with her, but we feel like with our built-in days that hopefully we'll be okay. So
okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Positive thinking.
Absolutely.
You haven't seen those woolly worms, have you?
What, Kim?
All right.
With the location of Southern Indiana, to me it doesn't make sense to schedule something on June 10th. June 6th is the last day of school, and I was reading through the contract, and it says we have to pay for the transportation after we sign this contract if we need to reschedule. So I don't know why, to me, a June 17th date, just go ahead, you know, we have graduations a week after our last scheduled school day. Why not have this at least a week after or more? I don't see the rush to have this on a date that the last couple of years we've been having school on that date. So
what happens is we're trying to avoid taking them out of the classroom when students are with us, and then the farther out we get, that next week is really a time a lot of them will take off and go on vacation. So it's easier to capture them when they're right at the end of the school year, if possible. So that was our thinking. And also we're kind of limited to the days that she's available because she travels around the world. So that was one of the days that she was available.
And I noticed the date on the contract is August 13th. If that today is, it's not August 13th, but
Well, that was the day Susan had contacted her, and that was the day that they initially put this together, and then we reminded her that we had to bring it to the board for approval before we could have it signed, and they certainly were in agreement with that, for, us to extend that and wait till we had board approval.
Further questions? All in favor? And opposed? Be 4-1. Thank you. All right. Next item is board reports and request. Mr. Hall? Anything?
No, thank you.
Ms. Perkins?
No, thank you.
Ms. Kraft?
Thank you.
Mr. Wyatt?
No, thank you.
All right. We don't have any public comments on non-agenda items, so I guess we'll move on to board comments. So back to you, Mr. Hall.
Had a great time Saturday in Indianapolis. My hat's off to the administration at Charlestown High School for scheduling a football game at Lucas Oil Stadium. Charlestown came out a point short, but Dr. Mellon looked pretty chipper down there on the field in his sandals and shorts, and so it was a good day. Besides the
in
final
my blue
score.
and white shirt. By the
Yes,
way.
sir.
Ms. Perkins?
Gee, I don't know if I can top that.
I think we can.
I do enjoy our school visits. We're starting those again, and I was able to visit Corden Porter this last week with Ms. Kraft and Dr. Mellon and Ms. Schnepp, and it was a great visit. We were able to eat lunch with most of the young men, and I think there's only one young lady, or two young ladies. And it just, the conversation with those young adults just validates what we do here as a board and in our classrooms. They were just great to sit down and have lunch with. They're doing a great job at Corden Porter.
Thank you. Ms. Kraft?
And to add to that, they're very mannerly. Yes. Shook our hands, said our names. Very cute. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to eat every place.
Mm-hmm.
The food's good, and the woman is there everywhere. Every time I walk in, there she is. Doesn't matter what school or what time or whatever. But yes, I think that's what
I
it
believe.
is. You haven't told me
Right.
that's something like that. Anyway, it was fun. I look forward to doing more of that. Mr. White.
Mr. White?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right. I have nothing, so Dr. Mellon?
Just a couple of things just to echo the comments. With Corden Porter, our staff, our students are great, which has been pointed out. The staff, that doesn't just happen without having that staff that just is so dedicated to those students and really are models for how to handle students who behaviorally sometimes have their own challenges. And so to see the results coming out of Corden Porter is not only a tribute to those students but to the staff as well, which I know you've pointed out. I'm very, very proud of them. I think they're a model really for the state in my experience.
Whenever you have a substitute teacher standing there saying, I sub here in this building all the time, it's one of my favorite places to come, something's going on right.
That says a lot, doesn't it? And then the other thing with the football experience, what a unique opportunity. That doesn't come along every day. And I think that what I was so impressed with was not our students, our athletes on the field, and the drive that they showed just to never give up no matter what. They never gave up. That also pertained to our cheerleaders, because they were to perform a halftime show and the music wouldn't start. And so they stood out there for several minutes waiting for the music, and finally the cheerleading coach came out and just started to count, and the girls performed the routine without music. So again, they never gave up. Our marching band went out at halftime, and our marching band performed after all of this other stuff that had occurred, and they stepped right in. They never gave up. I was just so proud of all of our students. And then and just to see the adults there, all those coaches that I just mentioned, the football, the cheerleading, our marching band instructors, I just was very proud of the fact that, we talk about give 100% effort at all times, be persistent, never give up, overcome those challenges, overcome that adversity. And so pride is what we're really focusing on in this school system, is that pride. And P is for persistence. And that was definitely evident that day. So it was a great day for Charlestown High School, I believe.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mellon. Next item's adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Have a second. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. All in favor? All right. 5-0. Thank you. Good evening.